Hey, what's up, guys? I'm going to welcome you out to another edition of According to Kaz and Queen. And as always, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And we want to thank you guys for continuing to join us. Of course, if you are tuned in every Tuesday night, 7 p.m., brand new episode. Of course, we're on all streaming services. That's Spotify, that's Apple Music, that's Google Podcasts, it's Amazon Music, and we are also on Black with No Chaser Radio. All right, so make sure that you download the Black with No Chaser Radio app. Make sure you're doing that. WNCradio.com. Make sure you do that. You can check us out. And if you like seeing our bright, shiny faces, all you got to do, you know what to do, of course, right under my finger, right there. All right. Make sure that you like and subscribe to that YouTube page. Turn on the notifications because the premiere every Tuesday night at 7 p.m., you guys will be able to chime in with your comments and your questions. We love to hear feedback from you guys. And we thank all of you who've been hitting us up on social media. Of course, following According to Kaz and Queen on all our social media pages on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. All right. And those are all the places that you can find us. And we appreciate you guys for all of the support, all of the views, all of the questions, running into people, coming in and out of buildings that say that they, watch or listen to the podcast. A lot of you are listening to the podcast in your offices and listening while you're running and listening while you're chilling. And we appreciate that. These are conversations that happen between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home that we bring to you guys to make you guys think, to make you guys laugh, to be introspective, all of those things, all of that good stuff, man. So it's a lot of stuff going on this week. You want to get into it as we always do. This is something that we have talked about on the podcast previously, some, updated Robert Kelly news. He was just sentenced in Chicago. I think he got another 30 years for the charges in Chicago. Adding on to what I think he has, I think, ultimately at the end of the day, they say that, around his 80s, his early 80s, that he will be eligible for parole. Hopefully if he makes it on the inside that long, he may eventually be able to see the light of day at some point. So, we've talked about that extensively. You are a reformed R. Kelly fan. I don't know if reformed is the word, I guess. Rehabilitated, reformed.
What is it that you're trying to
I don't know
say?
what the word is. I don't think those are the right words. But, what are your thoughts, seeing now that, there's no chance of him really getting out of jail until he's in his 80s. Don't know what will be happening in the world in 30 years and don't know what his quality of life will be at that point. But, this is seemingly finally some closure on the R. Kelly saga that has gone on for so many years. So, just in hearing these updates, what were some of your first thoughts?
First, I think he was already serving 30 years and he got 20 additional years. 19 of which will count in the 30 he's already serving.
Okay.
That's what I think it is.
Okay.
It's a tough spot for me because anything you say these days, you got to be for or against something else. Like we talked last time about hard lines. So for me, I feel some pity. I'm kind of sad that he's going to be in jail for the rest of his life, per se. And if
Possibly.
I say that, then it sounds dismissive to the victims. And I don't really want to do that, because I know that he was wrong and, dead wrong. Like he was awful. Mm-hmm. So to say I'm sad that he's in prison and he's going to likely not see very much of the rest of the free world. Possibly.
Right.
So saying that kind of, lends to me not having compassion for the victims or lending my compassion to him and not to the people who he affected their lives. So it's a tough spot for me. But I will say that I do think that R. Kelly deserves to be in jail. I think that he is a predator. But I also think that he has mental issues, and I don't think that there has been addressed at all. Right. I don't think there has been any offer to help him heal. If it has, that hasn't been made as public as what he's done. So the part of me who's a healer wishes that he could be healed, or at least given the opportunity to heal. So, I'm kind of walking a murky line there.
So it is a long time. We've seen some of his reactions to being locked up. Don't know, how he's handling it now. But it can't be, an easy thing for him to come from the world that he comes from and then to be serving, hard time. Behind bars, and then now the realization. Now, I think there was a lot of anticipation for what the final outcomes were going to be with everybody. I mean, we knew that he was going to jail. We didn't know how many years. Some people didn't think that he was going to get a lot of years. There were still people that speculated that he was going to be able to get out, in a decent amount of time. And I think a lot of those people were kind of being selfish too, at the same time, because I think a lot of those folks were hoping that he could get out in enough time to be able to go back out on the
to be able to make some more music,
the concert circuit again. And I was saying the other day that even if he gets out at the age of 80, is there someone that will go see him at the casino? Because that's where he go.
Man, no, nobody trying to see no 80-year-old R. Kelly up in there talking about something. Seems like you're ready.
Wow,
yeah, nobody want that.
Because at the age of 80.
What you ready for? You ain't ready for nothing but bad.
Nah, he's not, or something else. But
write a book. Oh, can he write?
Yeah, I think
articulate a book.
I think he's gotten a little bit better, because there was actually the issue of the reading and the writing thing, which is another thing in and of itself. It's a tragic story all the way around.
It's a very tragic story, and it's hard to not have some compassion for him. Because actually I believe that what he's done is a response to trauma. Mm-hmm. And his life has been about trauma, and I'm not excusing it. Please understand that I'm not excusing it. Mm-hmm. He should be held accountable for what he's done, because he's done it to a bunch of people. He still doesn't understand the magnitude to how he's affected these women. Mm-hmm. And he still kind of owns some sort of right to be able to do it, which all are signs of him being traumatized and not being helped and not being healed. He's absolutely broken.
There's no contrition there. I think in all of this, at the end of the day, had there been some level of contrition, I think it would have been easier for people. Excuse me. And I think having that contrition would have also meant a level of, owning up to what it is that you did. There's still really no accountability on his end, even with the number of people who have come forward. There's still a lot of people who are, continuously blaming the parents and all of, you can spread blame around if you want to spread blame around. You can always do that in any issue. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the person here that is responsible is Robert Kelly, the parents of these children.
Or the person who sexually abused him.
Yes. If you want to go deeper, but still, Robert Kelly was the person who was in the room with these women. He's the person that, was able to either resist or not to sexually assault these women or to molest these women. He had the opportunity to not, make the video with the 14-year-old young lady that, at the time before social media actually went viral via people's VCR tapes at the time. He had the opportunity to say no. He had the opportunity.
He could have made different choices.
Could have made a lot of different choices. So if you look back on it, you can see that there was a lot of things probably in his childhood that led to it. And we're going to talk about, those traumas a little bit later on this particular episode. But finally some closure. Finally, people know how long he's going to be locked up. They know what the end result of this is, and then ultimately at the end of the day, we have an idea of when he may possibly get out. And I hope that there is an opportunity for him to get out. I hope this does not end with him incarcerated or while he's incarcerated.
Oh, baby.
I mean, it wouldn't be cool for him to die in jail. I don't wish that on him to be able to do that.
Right?
That's harsh. Although what he did was harsh, although I'm not in support of him at all whatsoever. I want him to be under the jail if possible. But, if the sentencing has already been done and he could possibly, get out, and we'll see what happens then. Maybe the time in jail will be enough time for him to be able to maybe show some contrition. I'm pretty sure that he'll be available for some interviews while he's in there. And let's just hope that the tone of those interviews are different than the one that he did with Gayle King. I think that is what will be most important because, they've taken everything, all of the worldly things that can be taken away from him have been taken away. The money, the fame, the prestige, the women, all of those things are now gone. So, we'll just have to see how it goes from there, but at least this is a chapter that is closed and, probably, we won't be hearing a lot about R. Kelly going forward. But at any rate, switching gears a little bit, I want to definitely talk about this. We always seem to talk about some of your favorites.
Why is that?
I don't know, because I like challenging you because, a lot of times you give your favorites a lot of slack and you give them a lot of leeway.
It's called loyalty.
I mean, to a fault.
Yeah.
Or to a point.
I don't even argue that it's to a fault.
So,
I'm only human.
Yeah. So T.I., Clifford Harris, is saying that we got two things to talk about old Clifford, by the way, but T.I. is saying he's getting ready to release his last album. It's going to be called Kill the King. And on this album, he is going to be officially relinquishing the title of King of the South. He's going to be taking off the crown and thank you, sir. And he's going to be handing it over to whoever, or he's going to put it on top of the little thing. And, I guess there's going to be some type of battle royal for it. I don't know, but
are you being funny?
I am. I'm being completely facetious when I say this.
That is not really that far-fetched. That could actually happen.
It could actually, now that I think about it, but I'm being totally facetious when I say that. But he says that this album, he's going to be relinquishing the title of the King of the South. The name of the album is going to be called Kill the King. And that's going to be it. So my question, and I've posed this question to a lot of other people, but you are a T.I. fan, a loyal T.I. fan, you say, was T.I. ever actually, at any point, the King of the South?
I'm happy to answer that question for you, but I have a question.
You're going to answer my question with a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
If not T.I.,
then who? Well, you're asking me, having come through several generations. There's Scarface, right off the bat.
All right, would you measure his albums? Say how many albums has Scarface had in comparison to T.I.?
Scarface has had several albums. I don't know
just
the exact
Scarface
numbers.
by itself.
Yes, just Scarface has had several albums.
You think it's measurable to T.I.'s?
We're talking about impact. We're talking about the King of the South.
No. That King encompasses all.
Yes.
That can't be possible because I don't even know an album.
Okay, well, that's fine that you don't know an album. There's a lot of people
enthusiasts and rap fiends maybe do, but regular buying public.
Well, if you're basing it on sales, then, that's where your argument is. But we're not talking about sales here. We're talking about the figurative title of King of the South.
But sales have to be included. Everything has to be included.
The person who represents the South when you think of the South.
T.I.
Okay. So you feel like he was?
Sure.
Because if you remember correctly, T.I. just basically named himself the King of the South and he was not challenged on it.
correct. The reason why he wasn't challenged is because nobody disagreed. The fact that he wasn't challenged is reason enough. And even if it's in his own head, if he named himself king, he can retire the label.
All right. Now, some people are saying that Lil Wayne is the king of the South.
Oh, that's a good one.
You do know that, of course, that Lil Wayne declared himself the best rapper alive since the best rapper retired. He was not really challenged on that. So then people started calling him the best rapper alive. It's not a lot of challenging going on. Like, you can almost declare it.
Because there are arguments that can be made. So if you can make an argument, a compelling argument, it's hard to challenge that. And it's an argument that could be made for T.I. He is absolutely very, very, very Southern. He's from the A. You know,
he's from the A.
He's definitely Atlanta. That is the South as you can get.
It's not the South as you can get. You know what's the South as you can get?
Jackson?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Is there a king of Jackson?
Is there a king of Jackson?
A king of the South that you could pull from Jackson?
I mean, if you're going to say, you know, if we're going to name people off that could have had that moniker.
Let's just stop. This is going down the wrong road.
You could have said that David Banner was the king of the South. He's from Mississippi. He had a run. My rap partner did his thing. So, I mean, if we're just going to say that, Mississippi did have some representation. So,
how many albums did David Banner put out?
I don't know if I really want to get into this with you at this point, because you are from Mississippi, and I don't expect this type of pushback from you, first of all.
Listen, I don't, he had an album called The King. He the king.
Because he had an album called The King.
Anybody else have an album called King?
No. Oh, I mean, well, Crit did. King Remembered in Time. Big Crit.
I would venture that this is probably a conversation you should have with somebody else.
No, I'm having it with you. We're going to have that right now. This is happening right now in real time for all of our listeners and our viewers out there. For you guys right now. Was T.I. just in calling himself the king of the South? Did he prove the moniker to be correct? That is my question.
Again, I'm probably not the person you want to ask, because I am a T.I. fan. And I can listen to his albums from the beginning to the end. To me, that is kingly. He's built himself a name. He has, you know, been down and under and built his way back up a couple of times. He married to a very popular, influential artist within her own right. So he has himself a queen. He has kids. They're building music careers and doing interesting things.
Mm-hmm. All of this makes a king.
What do you think? Maybe you need to clarify, because when I think of king, I think of all of that. Yes.
Okay, well, that's fair.
So what do you think of when you think of king?
I mean, I was just really thinking of influence as far as the Southern scene and the Southern hip hop culture is concerned. You know, some people would name a lot of different people. You know, some people would name Scarface, some people would name T.I., some people would say Wayne.
I definitely would not.
There was even
Wayne. There's an argument to be made for Wayne.
There was even a few people who said Trick Daddy. There were some people that said Gucci. Gucci actually responded when T.I. came and said he was the king of the South. Gucci was actually the only person to respond in retort to say that you're not.
I don't even know any Gucci songs.
Do you have to know the songs?
I do, in order for him to be the king.
I mean,
for
that's
me,
fair
yeah.
for you.
You know how I know Gucci? Gucci Mane.
How? It's Gucci Mane.
Gucci Mane. Because he got a fly wife.
Okay, well, that's how you know him. You didn't know anything about him before you saw his wife.
I did, but I didn't really care till he married that beautiful woman.
All right, take it easy.
He had that tattoo on his face of ice cream.
He did. And he got that taken
Ice
off.
Cream Man. Right?
People said Master P was possibly the king of the South at one time.
See what I did there?
You did. That was an inadvertent segue. It was an accidental segue, ladies and gentlemen. Those happen. A segue nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen.
It happens.
An
I'm a pro.
inadvertent accidental segue into Master P. But yeah, people have said that Master P.
I would not be mad at that either.
That's fair.
Yeah, it is fair.
It's fair.
It's fair. I think ultimately what it comes down to is who gonna challenge him and tell him he ain't the king.
Yeah.
So if he say he the king, he the king.
Do you think this will actually be the last album when he says "Kill the King"? Do you think this will be it?
Nah.
Because
Been
really,
down this road so many
the quality
times.
of the albums have fallen off greatly.
I think that he
years.
is ready to get into the next part of his life.
Which I hope is not comedy.
Whatever is next, it's not the T.I. moniker that he's been utilizing. He's different. He's grown. He a grown man. He got grown children. He on to some other stuff. And I think that maybe that's where he's retiring. But from my life experience, it's really difficult for rappers to put down rap. So even if he is not, throwing out albums, he's probably still going to be doing features or something like that, like Jay-Z is doing, So, you know what? Speaking of,
What?
Do you not notice that T.I. seems to be kind of patterning Jay-Z's moves?
We've had that discussion before.
But even in this, Jay-Z did the whole I'm retiring thing.
I mean, Jay-Z did it. Too Short did it. It's a lot of people who have done it.
Yeah, but there are a lot more similarities with Jay-Z's moves.
And
this man even got locks.
Yes. And saying that the man got locks because Jay-Z got locks, I think might be a bit of a stretch, although
it's not just
coincidental.
that. It's a bunch of things
that
look the same is the reason why. I wouldn't say it just because he got locks.
Right.
I'm saying there are a lot of things that he does that makes him look like if Jay-Z's the king up top, I'm the king down here. So
that's fair. I can say that, of course, when they asked T.I. about the Versus, when the Versus was at its peak, T.I. said that the only person that he could see himself going back and forth with is Jay-Z.
And that's the kind of arrogance that makes a king.
Or delusion.
Cockiness.
Or delusion.
Did you call the man delusional?
Or delusion. While T.I. has hits, we can't testify to the fact that the man has hits and had consistent hits over a time. I mean, those have waned tremendously over the years.
But he's not really putting out nothing.
I mean, he's attempting. He's trying. He's been doing some rapping.
He's still
T.I. He's still a wordsmith.
Yes,
I'm not taking anything away from him.
All
He's
right.
not chopped liver. But what I'm saying is that to say that Jay-Z is your only rival in a versus and the only person who would be worthy of you having a versus with, I think it's crazy.
I think he was just popping his shit.
I mean, and he could have been.
Because he know better than that.
Well, that's another one of your favorites, and you clearly defer to Jay-Z in this instance. If it was
You deferred to Jay-Z in this instance.
I mean, but I'm deferring on, facts alone, not fandom. I'm deferring on facts. And I'm deferring on the fact that Jay-Z... T.I. would run out of jams before Jay-Z did.
You asked me my questions based on fandom. So I'm responding based on fandom.
Yeah.
I'm not a rapper. And I'm not a...
So you are admitting that T.I. would run out of jams before Jay-Z?
Definitely.
At what point? You got 20 songs on the verses.
He could get 20 songs.
No, I'm talking about at what point does T.I. fall off?
If it's just 20 songs, T.I. can match that.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's 2 albums.
Okay, as a T.I. fan, I'm sure you're counting.
I'm counting all the paper trail.
You count all, yeah. You can't do that. Okay, we're not counting all the paper trail. We talking about the
paper trails on.
We talking about the jams. We talking about the hits
all of
with
them
videos.
Are hits. With videos,
yes. I mean singles at least.
With singles,
right?
Jay-Z been around longer than T.I.
Slightly, yes.
He got a couple of albums that before T.I. even started rapping.
A few, indeed.
So of course he's gonna have more hits.
Okay. You put a little caveat in there.
It's true though.
I mean, 20 songs in, jams, straight jams, and you got to go. And I'm not talking about album cuts. I'm talking about 20 jams. You got to go in 20.
20.
T.I. goes toe to toe for 12 at the most.
I give him 15. I think he can make it to 15.
And 15, I guess you counting the albums that Jay-Z did before T.I. at that point. At that point, it's just a matter of longevity, is what you're saying. Jams.
But
Jams.
I think T.I. would run into issues with Lil Wayne as well.
Definitely.
So I don't know why he would. I think he was just popping off at the mouth.
Yeah. I mean, Lil Wayne would probably be more suited for T.I., but,
I agree.
you know, there might be an issue there, too, because Wayne had a mixtape run. He had mixtape songs that became hits.
That's true.
So, you know, that would be an issue.
And then they be playing features. Lil Wayne done smashed a good grip ton of
Lil
features.
Wayne could do the hook for Duffel Bag Boy off the rip, and that's a winner. You can count that as a jam as well. So, you know, there's that. At any rate, but, you know, word is that T.I. and Boosie had a joint album that was about to drop. I'm kind of glad that it's not. I was not looking forward to hearing that. And when I heard that the two of them would be making an album together, there's nothing about that.
You know,
that made me look forward to that happening.
If that's true, because T.I. did not confirm that.
Right.
So if that's true, that is indication that it's time for T.I. to retire.
So Boosie claims that he shelved the album because T.I. told on his cousin and all of his people, including one of his OG uncles, told him that you can't do an album or release an album with a snitch.
Was this T.I. cousin that he's supposed to be told on?
Yes, the dead cousin.
That's. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes.
Clarify that.
Yes. So that's the question.
What's the question?
I mean, the T.I. snitching and Boosie not doing the album. You know, what are your thoughts on that?
Boosie ain't pulled no album because T.I. was snitching.
So you think that didn't even happen? You think he's just capping?
If there was an album and it didn't happen, I doubt that it didn't happen for that reason.
Okay.
And I think Boosie kind of be sitting around getting high and just be trying to figure out how to stir up some controversy.
You know, I think DJ Vlad, because that's where he does the majority of his interviews. I think Vlad knows how entertaining. Boosie's entertaining. I don't care
Most
how you
definitely.
cut it. He's entertaining.
And he don't even try to be.
He's not. He's just being himself. And there are often times where I don't even really care if he's being exactly accurate with what he's saying.
Matter if he's telling the truth.
I don't really care if he's telling the truth or not sometimes, because it's damn entertaining when Torrance Hatch gets on these interviews, because you don't know what's going to come out his mouth.
You do not.
I found it interesting because he was having a conversation about his daughter. His daughter came out as gay, of course, and you know, he has notoriously gone after Dwayne Wade's son. He has gone after, you know, the gay community. He is also famous for being a guy who said 2 red bones kissing in the back seat. So he did not have a problem with 2 sexy women engaging in, you know, a gay tryst or whatever the case is. And he's just got a problem with dudes, which is a lot of most homophobes. That is their issue. But he's got a 22-year-old daughter who has come out as gay. He says that the family is going to love on her, but they do not accept the lifestyle, which is just weird.
I don't understand how you.
But yeah,
how you do that?
Yeah, how do you love her and not accept the lifestyle? How does it happen? Because a lot of people have said that before, and then you've even had some experiences with people that you have spoken to that had family members that say, "I'm not going to support your lifestyle, but you know, we're going to love you just the same." Can those two things actually happen simultaneously?
No, not for the person that you're telling that to.
Right. Right.
For you doing the best you can, I suppose.
Right.
But for the person you telling that to, you're basically telling them, I love you, but I ain't down with it. And I can't accept it. How can you love me if you can't accept who I am.
Right.
That's why so many people are out here living on the DL, because they people make them feel like they can't live out loud. So yeah, I'm not with that at all. If you love me, you have to love all of me.
Yes.
And whoever I love.
And
that's
open.
just what love is. Love doesn't have those stipulations.
It's unconditional.
Absolutely.
And it does not have the stipulations. And it's wild because, she's 22. And then at the end of it, he's like, well, she's grown. She can do whatever the fuck she want to do, which is what he said. But at the end of the day, there's still a caveat to that. So she's still coming to the family functions. And you got to listen to people say, well, we love you, baby, but, we not down. Like, can she bring her girlfriend to the house?
And then
can she
would
be
she
married?
want to?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Would she feel comfortable bringing her partner to the house? And would the partner feel comfortable once at the house?
Right.
Like, what does that look like?
Right.
I don't know. It's just really, really weird. I just don't understand how you can say, I love you, but...
With the asterisk.
There are no buts.
Yeah. It's really too many. And it's a sad thing. And you and I have talked about this before. I feel bad for people who have to live, in
quiet
in that way, and have to live quietly and not are able to live in their truth, or just be themselves, because that is who they are. And they're not able to do that because of how they will be accepted. Because of what family members will say, because of what coworkers will say, me knowing people who have left the South and gone other places because they were not going to be accepted, here in the Bible Belt.
Yeah, they couldn't thrive.
And were able to go other places and thrive and just be themselves, because everybody should, at the end of the day, be themselves. And the number of people who have to live quietly, the number of people who have to, live, in an underground kind of fashion deal, whatever it is that you want to call it, they have to live that life because of society's ideals now. And, it's unfortunate now because you got social media and everything is quote unquote gay to folks now, from ordering dessert to
smoking a hookah.
Did
you see that?
Yeah, I saw that as well. Eating pie, dessert, what else? Packing a lunch. I saw somebody say if you take your lunch to work, you gay. If you pack a lunch and go take it to work, you're gay.
Irresponsible.
It is irresponsible, and it just kind of speaks to, the thing about social media. Although it has opened the world up, it's unfortunately opened the world up, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
because now any idiot with a smart device can display his idiocy for the world and push it out to the world. So, you see these things and it's just crazy. And sometimes it's a lot of women that are doing it as well. So now there's a list of things. A father was hugging his son as he was teaching him how to cook. And they said, you're going to make him gay. That's going to turn him gay. That's gay for you to hug your son. That's gay for you to show love and affection.
I have an issue with the turn him gay anyway.
Yeah.
How do you turn somebody gay?
That's crazy.
So irresponsible.
People actually think that that's a thing. They really actually think that that's a thing.
Get out of your neighborhood. Get out of your comfort zone.
Touch grass.
Experience the world.
Yes.
Experience other people than the people that's been around you your entire life.
Yeah.
Because that festering sore of information that you have.
And homophobia.
That is not reality outside of your neighborhood,
right?
Outside of your city. Mm-hmm. Get out, go somewhere else, branch out, and see that there's more to this life than what's in your comfort zone.
Social media is not a real place. Social media is not a real place. Social media is not a real place.
Social media is not a real
get out into the world, and I guess this term is just stuck in my head because I saw it on social media, but get outside and touch grass and touch the earth. What's the term called? Is it grounding
or earthing,
or grounding or earthing? Get out and ground yourself, touch grass, get in touch with other things that are going on in the world. It's 2023, so homophobia in and of itself is passe. So, that's a ridiculous thing. But, we'll see how that comes out, with Boosie and, his T.I. is a snitch.
I'm surprised T.I. gave it so much energy. I don't know why
T.I. is going to give it energy. He has given energy to things that he should not have given energy to.
This is one of them.
This is one of those things. But, with him,
he ready for
having come from the streets.
Somebody better tell him.
Oh, here we go. Having come from the streets, having been locked up, having really actually been out here and done it and being, certified in the streets, being called a snitch is a very serious thing.
That's a serious thing.
So, he is not photoshopping. He is screenshotting and posting paperwork. That's a big, huge thing now on social media now.
Receipts.
Everybody is posting
receipts.
The paperwork.
That came from the reality shows.
Yeah,
that's where that came from.
So,
but I don't even understand how what T.I. has posted is relevant to the allegation.
Because on the paperwork, it will, denote what your statement was.
Oh.
So in your statement at that point, in discovery, it will.
So T.I. basically did it.
Yeah, so he's basically saying, here's my paperwork. You can read now and you can hear and see what I said, actually, so you can see that.
If they working on an album, why wouldn't Boosie bring that to T.I.?
That's the crazy part. Like, that's a conversation that y'all would have had at some point.
Yeah, like soon as OG Uncle said what he said,
right.
The next call should have been to T.I.
Right.
Like, dude, I have a problem with this. What's up?
Mm-hmm. And now that T.I. has responded in a very magnanimous fashion as he does. So now you got to see what's going to happen because, Boosie's a fool and he's going to respond and there's going to be some back and forth. So
yeah,
then
but
what's
it's
going to happen
been too long. Boosie would have responded by now.
They may have had a conversation and hopefully they have had a conversation and it doesn't really go any further than that though. But, at the end of the day, understand and know what the real definition of snitching is, first of all. And if you do know that and people that understand what that is, what is and what isn't. And also, if you aren't in the streets and haven't been in the streets before, then what happens on street shit should not concern you. Something that I was taught a long time ago. T.I. did what he did when he was out in the streets. And if that ain't the life that you come from, it shouldn't matter to you if somebody is snitching or not, if you are living a nice little squeaky clean, safe lifestyle. It's not really your concern. That's, again, being worried about things that are above your pay grade. That's like the Rihanna and ASAP conversation at the end of the day.
So then does that mean that women who have not been beaten shouldn't be concerned about Chris Brown putting his hands on Rihanna?
I think that's a little bit different. So apples and oranges, I don't know if those two things are together. I know you're trying to churn it up in your head.
I'm just trying to understand your position, sir. That's it.
But you have spoken at length about your experiences, so you are qualified to speak on it at the end of the day. I think anytime that there is abuse of women, I think all women should have a voice in that. I think that just kind of makes it stronger across the board. In any case, speaking of that, one of our favorite shows this week, we talk about sometimes pop culture things, and one of our favorite shows that we watch every week is Abbott, that we have begun to love and to catch up with. So a very, very good show. It's very, very funny, by the way. And on this week's episode of Abbott, if you have not seen it, too bad. Janine and Everybody Hates Chris is what I call him. I forget what his name. Tyler. His name is Tyler.
But what's his name on the show?
I don't know.
Gregory.
That's it. Man, we be watching that and not even paying attention. Janine,
I literally be calling him Chris in my head.
Janine and Gregory finally kissed. This is season 2. And everybody was waiting on it. And of course, there's going to be the awkward moments that there were after the kiss. I think everybody was, kind of in anticipation of this happening. For us who are avid watchers of The Office, we likened this situation to Jim and Pam on The Office. I don't know if that was season 3 or 4 or whatever point that they actually got together. But the arcs between the two romances
it was season 2.
Really?
It's the same, yeah.
It's the same arc. So we were starting to wonder, because the show is one of those talking to the camera shows, and The Office was probably the first show that kind of kicked it all off. It's kind of almost coincidental. It's almost like, did these folks kind of watched The Office to come up with this, because Janine and Gregory kissing in season 2, like Jim and Pam did.
And not getting together right then.
Not getting together right then. The kiss being a quote unquote mistake.
We just friends.
Right.
We work together.
And the woman dating someone else in close proximity, dating Gregory's friend, played by Vince Staples, by the way, doing a good job. And then the end of the show where the one walks off and the other one turns around and looks, and then the other one is gone, and that kind of thing. Will they, won't they? And then getting in the teacher's lounge, and then, you know, some people hooked up and everybody looking up and looking crazy and nobody really knowing what happened at the end of the day. So it was kind of weird, because it's not a shot for shot, but
very close.
It's very close to Jim and Pam.
Well, you know, it's not a whole lot of newness happening in the world these days. And for what she's doing, I don't know her real name, but Janine, the writer, whatever she's doing, there's a formula that's already created and it works. The Office was on the show on TV for 9 seasons, and it's still on TV.
Parks and Rec was on.
Yeah, the formula works. So just follow the formula.
Does work.
Look, it appears to be that's what she's doing. Make a little twist and turn here to make it fit with her life that she knows that she can write about, and stick to the formula. It works.
I love the, you know, talking to the camera shows. I love those. Those are always funny to me when you're getting the
reactions.
The reactions of the characters in show as if they are recording. You know, the whole thing with The Office, at the end of the day, you didn't really realize until they got like into season 7 when they started showing actually the documentary team behind it, and then they were getting ready to show it. You forgot at some instances that they were recording a documentary, because it didn't tell you that from the very beginning.
Yeah, right. We didn't know.
We didn't know it until the end, which is, you know, really, really cool. But what do you think is going to happen with Janine and Gregory?
Same thing now with Jim and Pam.
You think it's going to go down in the same way?
Yeah.
Okay.
They gon' hook up and get married and have babies.
And still be teaching at Abbott.
Probably. Janine's probably going to end up at some point being the principal or something.
They cannot get rid of the principal, though.
She'll become the superintendent.
Because then she wouldn't be in the school. She's got to be.
No, that's true. She's
got to be there.
She's important to the.
She's hilarious.
She is hilarious. That girl is funny.
I think in season 1, I think she helped to.
I don't think they expected her to be a favorite the way she is. She is definitely getting more lines now than she did early on in season 1.
Yeah, clearly she, you know, Janine is supposed to be the focal point, but she jumped out the box. I think the janitor did the same thing too. I think
agree.
He subtly slid in, you know, with his quirky little comebacks, and I think he ended up, because now he's in the actual credits in the beginning, and he wasn't at first. So
kind of like Donna. Yes. On Parks and Rec.
Kind of like Donna in Parks and Rec, the same thing, which is incredible. So we're going to see what happens with that, man. Abbott is one of our favorite shows. Unfortunately, another one of our favorite shows. We got word that just got canceled on HBO Max. I can't believe that y'all canceled Southside, man. I can't believe
it. So far, season 3. I mean, not so far, but season 3 was not at all on par with the first 2 seasons. Not at all. So I'd actually
a lot more social,
that they shut it down if we got to watch more of season 3.
A lot more social commentary in season 3. The laughs were not there. The organic.
It turned into Atlanta. Almost.
Kinda.
It was weird.
It did. It did get a little weird at the end.
How y'all so funny, and then y'all would jump over here into the, you know, mystique and think hard and all thoughtful. Like, this ain't what we watched this show for.
Well, you know, I thought the Juneteenth episode was dope.
I thought it was weird.
It was weird, but I think, I've never seen. What show have we seen that had a Juneteenth episode that actually went through
the Juneteenthness of it, but it wasn't a whole lot of Juneteenthness in it.
They went through all of the principles, but the different scenes spoke to the different principles. Got to go back and watch it again.
What principles?
All the principles of
Kwanzaa?
Of Kwanzaa, I'm sorry. Was it Kwanzaa? It was Kwanzaa. That was it. It was a Kwanzaa episode, not Juneteenth. I'm sorry.
It was Kwanzaa.
It was Kwanzaa. I'm sorry.
And they was talking
crazy.
about each principle.
Yes. Coogee Chakalia, all the different scenes. You got to go back and look at it. We'll go.
I'll go back and look at it with a different mindset
because Juneteenth in my head.
Actually, I felt like they did something for Juneteenth. I don't know. Maybe we got it mixed up with another show, but I don't know. It was silly to me, but I'll go back and watch it and give it another shot.
It was a very funny show, man. Shouts out to the writing team that put that show together. It was very funny. I think it was very thought-provoking.
Was that the one when the girl arms didn't work? Was that episode?
No.
You sure?
No, yes it was. No, wait a minute. Hold up.
I think it was because the receptionist cashier, that was her story.
Yes. I think
that
it was.
was funny.
Yeah, so that was the Kwanzaa contest. Yeah, we're going to go back and check that out.
Yeah, let's do that. And then get back to the conversation.
Season 3 started off funny, and then it kind of got weird at the end. And maybe, I don't know what the disagreement was with HBO Max. I don't know if they wanted more money. I don't know what was going on.
Well, for one thing, the dude got 12,000 shows.
Yeah, they got a lot of shows.
And HBO, they got 2 or 3.
They got 2 or 3.
And HBO gave it to him. So there was a buy-in to him at some point.
There was. They were, Southside started out on Comedy Central, if you remember. It was on Comedy Central the first season, and then it moved to HBO Max. Got the upgrade. So I don't know. Hopefully, the guy, Alderman, what's his name, is one of the writers on the show. I don't know what his real name is, but the Alderman says that they're shopping it around. I follow them on Twitter, and he says that they're shopping the show around, and hopefully they'll get some more episodes. But if you have not watched Southside, please do so.
It's one of my friends on Facebook said it is very Chicago.
It is. It's super Chicago.
So if you are from Chicago, you should be watching it.
Yeah, it was actually shot in Chicago. They used Chicago actors. I know some of the extras that was in the show. Chicago has a lot of TV shows that shoot in Chicago.
Yeah.
All of the Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago, whatever. Chicago.
They giving black folks work.
Actually, one of the guys was on Chicago Fire that plays, what's his name? The gangster guy that left. That was fucking around with the chick.
The sexy one.
Is that how you describe him?
The guy who was telling the dude to cut his dreads.
Yes.
He's funny.
Is he?
Did he leave? He gone?
Nah, he didn't leave. He was still on the show. I'm talking about that episode where he left and they was at the fence and he left out and he lived in the wilderness for a while. Yeah.
What about
he's on Chicago Fire.
Oh, okay.
From I've never seen an episode of Chicago Fire, but
he's on there?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Take it easy.
We should watch that.
No, we're not watching that. I'm not watching any more hospital shows.
Can we talk about the fact that Meredith Grey left Grace alone?
No. We will never talk
Why
about
we
Grey's
always
Anatomy
get to talk about what
show.
you want to talk about?
We're not talking about Grey's Anatomy.
Meredith Grey left.
Look at the time. Look at the time. Woo! This one is running long.
Baby,
we got to get to the
right.
end so we can wrap it up. We'll never talk about Grey's Anatomy on this podcast or any podcast that I'm on. It is one of the worst shows that we have ever been saddled with in America. When the story is written on this country, they will talk about the 40 years that Grey's Anatomy was on TV and the hole that it dug for Americans having to watch a show.
What's next?
20 years of motherfuckers in a hospital. I don't even know how you get 20 years out of that. They just in the hospital.
It's one of the best shows ever put on TV.
That's not true.
And it's telling because they have 19 seasons. They are on season 19 right now. How many shows can you name that is not a soap opera that has achieved that?
It only speaks to what I feel like is the numbing and the dumbing of America for it to have 19 seasons. I don't know why y'all would want to watch 19 seasons of motherfuckers in a hospital.
It's not the same people. They have backstories and storylines and lives outside the hospital and relationships, and it's not the same people. It's a very smart show, actually.
Don't want to watch motherfuckers in the fire department. Don't want to watch them either.
That's just your personal preference, baby. That's all.
Those shows. Stop making those shows. It's been fireman shows on TV and hospital shows. Stop making them. I hate them. Stop making them.
Why you is too much?
Stop making the fireman shows and the damn hospital shows. Stop making them. Every season is another one.
It's a ton of them out there right now.
Yes, it is. Y'all don't like that stuff. Stop watching them shows. At any rate.
Farewell, Meredith.
Yes.
You will be missed.
Good riddance.
I'm probably not going to watch the show anymore, but you will be missed.
Good riddance.
And they did not do a very good job at saying goodbye to you.
Good riddance, Meredith Grey. That my only regret is that they did not kill you off the show. That's my only regret. There it is. You should have went the way of McDreamy on the show.
You sure do know a lot about the show.
You know why? Because I'm forced to watch it in my room every day because you binge it. And you've been binging it for the last 3 years. I hate that show. I hate it.
I've been binging it for how long?
For 3 years. That's how long I feel like I've been watching it. I feel like I'm serving some type of time. I'm forced to watch it in the bed at night. When I roll over at 3 a.m, it's some damn Grey's Anatomy is on. I almost know these characters by heart just by being forced to watch it.
What's Meredith's sister name?
I don't know.
Well, there you go.
I don't know.
You should watch it some more.
Did she die on the show too?
Who?
Meredith's sister.
No.
She should have. All right. Now, with that being said, that's just trauma for me. So let's segue into, I want to talk about trauma bonds. Is something that you've been talking about. For those of you that don't know, by the way, the show is also sponsored by the Kundi Collection. I am remiss by not making sure that I say that every week.
Never say it. You never say it.
It's a lot. It's a lot going on. The Kundi Collection, as you see my T-shirt right now. If you're listening to us, you don't see it, but as you see my T-shirt right now, the Kundi Collection. The show is brought to you by the Kundi Collection and the Kundi Collective, which is me and my bride's clothing line and our business. You can go to www.kundicollective.com. That's www.kundicollective.com. KUNDI Collective, KundiCollective.com, and you can see all of the dope designs and the T-shirts that we have there. And I'm going to try to do a much better job of saying that when we are doing the podcast. I try to make sure all of the T-shirts and the sweatshirts and the hoodies that you see me wear on my side, and in most instances my bride, are Kundi Collective stuff. So if you see it, make sure you go out and do that. But my bride is also a spiritualist, and you do an event called Whispers and Screams, which is a meditation series that you do. And I thought it interesting because last week you were doing your meditation series on trauma bonds. Mm-hmm. And I found it to be interesting because we've had conversations, of course, between a husband and wife in the comfort of our home about, trauma and triggers and those kinds of things. And, working through a lot of stuff that, we have been dealing with, and, even in conversations and arguments that we have had.
Yeah.
What are trauma bonds? And talk about those a little bit, and let's kind of go into it.
So trauma bonds form when one individual in the relationship is already traumatized. Usually ends up their trauma lends to them becoming a narcissist. And so they end up treating whoever they're with, controlling them and their emotions by that bond that they build. So it looks like for the other person, love, especially initially. And then it starts to be controlling and abusive. I was particularly in a trauma bond myself. And during the Whispers and Screams session, I had to, go back through that. And, I've done some healing on it, but the triggers started showing up again. And, because I was actively preparing to do the meditation with everybody else. So the effects of the trauma bond can last actually a whole life. Like, you have to put real intentional effort into reprogramming yourself after you have been in a relationship that has created a trauma bond. And it's very hard to do. Like, moving typical things that a person who is a narcissist will do is gaslight you. They'll move you away from your family to the point to where your family is saying, I don't like this. You're not the same person. You're acting different. And they don't want that influence. They don't want you to be influenced in any fashion whatsoever to the point to where you may go away. Tina Turner, that was a trauma bond,
yeah.
So, and that was a very realistic. Bobby and Whitney, trauma bond.
Blueface and Krishan.
Trauma bond.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that she's not the narcissist in that situation. I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to them. But what about it was interesting to you?
I mean, because you see a lot of these relationships where people love hard on each other. And then, of course, a lot of these are celebrity relationships. And because we are in this social media age, a lot of people have a really jaded sense of what love is. And they've got a really jaded sense of what good relationships are. And they don't understand how much work actually goes into it. And they don't understand that sometimes what they feel like is love is not actually love. It's a sense of a trauma bond or a sense of something that you feel like, has to be there.
But let me read this so that I can make sure that I hit every point.
Okay.
Trauma bond, this type of toxic bond occurs when abusers alternate between creating highs and lows within the relationship. They create them, the highs and lows, and offers reward or punishment as they deem it necessary. They will train the victim that happiness is solely dependent on how well they can serve and please. Such a narcissistic thing. The bond can long outlive the relationship, leaving the victim craving comfort from the very person who hurt them. It's so real. It's so real. It happens in a whole lot more relationships than one would think.
It does. And I think in any of these relationships, whether significant others or married couples or boyfriend and girlfriend, baby daddy, baby mama dynamics, a whole lot. People sometimes don't recognize what this is and they mistake love for it.
Sure.
And I think that's probably one of the spots that we're in this world right now, especially in our community, with people mistaking love and it being something else, and staying together and thinking that is love or purporting it to be love because that's what you have broadcast to the world. I can remember watching Bobby and Whitney and how people were like, oh, that's relationship goals. I want to be like Bobby and Whitney. They're going to stay together regardless of what people say around them, regardless of, how bad it looks, regardless of how bad Whitney looks, regardless, they going to stay together and they meant for each other and blah, blah, blah. And really, it was actually people around them telling both of them that neither of you are good for each other.
Yeah.
And I think, Bobby has kind of spoken to that maybe as he's gotten a little bit older and lived a little bit of life, but neither of you are good for each other. Krishan and Blueface, neither of you are good for each other. Y'all are together solely, I think, in the instance, those people that stay together because everybody doesn't think we're supposed to be together and we're not going to prove them right. We're going to prove everybody wrong. And you're actually forcing yourself into a situation that
I think that's why Bobby and Whitney stayed together.
Oh, that's absolutely
but I
why they
think
stayed
that
together.
Krishan and Blueface actually are traumatically tied to each other and they don't recognize reality for themselves because they're young. They have no life experience.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So Bobby and Whitney weren't necessarily in the same situation at that point. And they just it looks so familiar, the two of them. Like, it's really violent. If you took the violence away, it would still be a bond of trauma between them. And I think that she's the one that's the narcissist. I think she's controlling him. I think she's manipulating him. I think she is pouring on the waterworks when she wants to punish him. I think she is, she knows how to get him to do what she needs to do. Now, I will say that I reserve the right to be wrong about that because I haven't researched and studied these people at all. All I know is what I see, like, that comes up and down my timeline. I've seen them on TV a couple of times, and it's just always a glaring depiction of unhealthiness between the two of them. And that's a real extreme situation, because usually narcissists don't want anybody to be able to pick up the fact that what their home life looks like.
Right.
So they usually hide that. Krishan and Blueface don't even have sense enough to hide it. Like, they just put it out in the forefront.
Right.
But most narcissists, their relationships on the outside, this is why they tell you don't believe everything you see on social media.
Right.
Because their relationships on the outside look immaculate, stunningly together.
You know, it's crazy. Sometimes it doesn't even look that good on the outside.
If you know what you're looking for.
If you know what you're looking at. But because it's a celebrity, and we have been kind of unfortunately trained in this society to believe that everything the celebrities do is great and grand and something that we should aspire to. People see it and they still say, you know, there are people who still say, oh, I love how Krishan and Blueface love each other. It looks like this and it looks like that, but they really there for each other and they really loyal for each other. No, that's a traumatic bond. They are, you know, bonded together in trauma. They're bonded together in hurt, pain, whatever the case it is.
And if there's abuse of any kind, you can almost assuredly say that there's a trauma bond there.
Right.
Because the abuse usually comes from the victim getting outside of themselves and not doing, saying, being what that other person needs them to be.
Right.
And maybe even checking them on their behavior, because you can't check a narcissist on their behavior. They're not standing for that.
Right.
So, but I was talking about regular, ordinary people that you see on social media, not necessarily celebrities, you know. A lot of people are involved in that situation. And then it leads to a whole bunch of other stuff, you know, trying to fix the relationship or trying to please the other person.
Right.
Where we talked one time on this podcast about a girl, I can't even remember who it was, participating in a threesome and didn't really want to.
Who was that?
I can't remember. That was Princess and Ray J.
Yeah.
Trauma bond.
Yeah.
You know,
doing it to please him.
Absolutely.
Right.
And then feeling, you know, like she lost herself in those acts, you know. And he was basically, you know, I ain't make you do it. I ain't make you do it. That is how a narcissist would respond.
Yeah. And that's crazy at the end of the day.
You did make me do it because you made me feel like I was going to lose you if I didn't.
Doing it to keep, there it is. And it's a lot of that goes on. And it's, you know, as parents, first of all, and then, you know, if people that have, you know, have previously been in relationships before we got married, I think it's important to, you know, school our young girls and our young men on these things. And, you know, again, going back to the social media is not a real place. Like, you know, the relationships need to come from a real organic place, and not because you're trying to put on the front, and not because you're doing it because you want to prove to the world that we're going to stay together and they don't want us to be together. It might be a reason that you're not together.
Yeah, most of the time, if your family, people that you trust, are coming to you saying, look, this is not like you, something's up, you know. Right, might be that is the very first, you can look it up anywhere, that's the very first telling sign that you might be in a trauma bond, because you are immediately going to defy them and not want to hear from them, and then remove yourself from being in a position where you can even hear anything negative, because you are not ready to move from that.
Right.
You're not ready to make any moves whatsoever to leave that person. So anything somebody says you feel like it's a direct attack on you.
Right.
Because he has trained you to the point, I'm saying he, but it could be a woman.
Right.
That person has trained you to believe that they are the beginning and the end
to
everything.
Yeah.
So you can't feel nothing that's going to offend them or hurt them. You can't say nothing that's going to go against anything that they've said. It's almost like you're a kid.
Yeah.
You know, at their beck and call. It's so unfair. And what I need people to hear me say today, that you might not, if you ain't heard nothing else, hear this. The effects of a trauma bond can last a lifetime. It's not worth that, because the constant amount of healing, even I'm speaking from my own point of view. We just had a conversation this morning about something that triggered me from being in a trauma bond 20-some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still doing work on that. And I am very well aware of what trauma bonds are, and I help people to break them all the time. So that does not excuse me from still having the effects of that bond.
Yeah.
And if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't, because it ain't worth it. I got some beautiful things that came from the relationship, but putting myself in that situation was horrible. And it was like ding, 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 ding on the list of red flags for trauma. Like, it hit everything.
Yeah.
And most relationships do if you're involved in a trauma bond.
So we're going to, as you're doing Whispers and Screams, we're going to definitely try to talk about those things on the podcast.
But the next one in our Own Your Power series, which is going to be Thursday, March the 9th, is going to be on self-sabotage.
Okay. And we'll talk about that the next time we come back to the podcast. So,
boom, boom.
At any rate, thank you guys for joining us. Of course, this has been According to Kaz Queen. And as always, I'm Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And we'll see you guys next time.